So you have a teenager and you want what's best for them, but sometimes you just don't know what to do. I mean, we've all been there, right? Well, welcome to How to Be the Parent That Your Teenager Needs You to Be, where with each episode we explore the topics, the issues, the concerns, and the challenges that you face as a parent with a teenager. Now, if your goal is to empower your teenager to be their absolute best and to bring the peace, joy, warmth, and love back into your home, well, you've come to the right place. Well, in this week's episode, we are going to explore the topic of how to get your teenager to open up and talk more. So let's get started. Well, hello again, everyone. My name is Jim White, and I'm an author, coach, and the founder of the Family Enrichment Academy. And in today's episode, we are going to be taking a look at how to get your teenager to open up and talk more. But before we get started, I just want to touch on a couple of other items as well. First of all, on behalf of your teenager, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for your commitment to being a better parent. I mean, having a growth mindset is just going to be critical to getting through these teenage years. And in fact, that growth mindset, that is fundamental to our community of Family Enrichment Academy heroes. And if you aren't familiar with our community, be sure to go to our introductory episode, which is episode 1 of this podcast. Now, the second thing I wanted to mention was that I do have a free resource for you today, and it's related to our topic. I mean, one of the most common questions I get is, what's the secret to getting our teenagers to open up and talk more? Well, one of the simple answers is to ask better questions. And so this free resource I have, it is 10 questions you should never ask your teenager. Think of these as like conversation killers. And then the second, to follow up on that, I've got 10 great questions, the questions you should be asking. So there's a link in the show notes. Just click that link. You'll go to our website and be prompted to be able to download that free resource. So let's move back to our topic for today, which is the idea of how do we get our teenagers to open up and talk more. And this, actually, I got inspired to relive this or to bring this topic up. I've been rereading a book that I've read before, which is called Staying Connected to Your Teenager. And I was reminded of an idea that is the premise that your teenagers tend to open up and talk more late at night when they tend to let their guard down a little bit. And I've actually had some experience with this. So this is the idea or the insight I wanted to share today. First of all, I'll tell you a little bit about my experience. It was one particular story. So our youngest daughter, Isabella, has worked as a waitress at one of our local restaurants here in town. And in the summer, she would work at this restaurant. Well, a couple of summers ago, she comes home late at night after her dinner shift. It was probably 11 o'clock or so. And I just happened to be in the kitchen, which is a little bit unusual because I tend to go to bed earlier than that. I'm one of those guys that goes to bed early. But anyway, I happened to be there. We had watched a movie, my wife and I, and Bells came in. And she said, well, what are you doing up? And so I kind of gave her the little bit of a rundown. We were watching a movie. And then she said, she made this comment. She said, sometimes people can be so difficult. And when she said that, my first thought was, well, yeah, I know what you mean. And then I was going to head back up to go to sleep. But it occurred to me that maybe she wanted to talk a little bit more. And so I asked her a simple, open-ended question. I said, what do you mean by being so difficult? Well, she went into a 15-minute story about what had happened that night and just opened up and talked a little bit to me. And again, this happened at 11 o'clock at night, which is part of the premise that I wanted to share tonight, is that sometimes these opportunities for your teenager to open up come late at night. So something to think about. And the challenge that I would like to put out there for you, think of this as your FEA Hero Challenge for the week, is to see if you can almost intentionally create one of these opportunities. And here's the idea. So this weekend, so the challenge is this weekend, I want you to set your alarm clock, go to bed on Friday or Saturday night, but set your alarm to wake you back up at like 1 a.m. in the morning. And then what you're going to do is you're going to wander downstairs And more than likely, your teenager is going to still be up, right? They're going to be playing a game or doing something, watching something on their computer. And so you just walk downstairs, sort of say, hey, how you doing? Say, I couldn't sleep. I think I'm going to make me a snack. Do you want one? I mean, sort of create a little bit of an engagement. They probably will say, sure, give them the snack. And then just say, what are you doing tonight? Or, just ask one simple open-ended question and then just sort of be quiet at that point. And what you may be surprised will happen is that teenager will start to open up and they'll share some items that they wouldn't typically share with you earlier in the day. So just that's the challenge. See if you can do that. Now, if they don't, no big deal. Just go back up to bed and say goodnight. But you might be surprised if you create a little bit of an opening. Now, the other thing I would throw out is be sure that if they do start to open up and talk, this is not a time to try to fix problems or to go into lecture mode, or you have to be careful about that. Just be open and let them unload a little bit and share some. And if you do that, you're building trust, which will create an opportunity for that the next time as well. So anyway, hopefully you'll accept that challenge. Before we sign off today, though, I just want to remind you too, again, about that free resource I have, those 10 questions you should never ask your teenager, followed by those 10 great questions that you should be asking. Again, that link's below. You can click on that and download that resource. As always, it's truly an honor to be able to serve and support you as you move along your parenting journey and as you move into that role as the FEA hero within your family. So until next time, remember, a change in perspective changes everything.